How Marion Works, a podcast series dedicated to informing you of the inner workings in all areas of Marion government and public services. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of How Marion Works. I'm your host, Layla Price-Bodkin. The vision of the How Marion Works podcast is to keep citizens of Marion and surrounding areas updated and exposed to all the moving parts of the city. We appreciate you for being a part of the podcast that shows the greatness of how Marion works. Today's episode is Technology for the Community, featuring Danny Robison and Cliff Sessoms. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, I just want to call myself out that I was thinking about how I was going to have this show work, because Danny is kind of a one-man show when it comes to overall IT for the city. And then at the very last minute, he was like, well, can I have Cliff Sessoms come join me? Because Cliff does IT for specifically the Marion Police Department. But I was like, absolutely, this is a perfect opportunity. And I'm glad that both of you are here. And I'm calling myself out. Cliff and I go way back. And so he's been giving me a hard time. But I'm going to probably put you on the spot now.
That's fine.
We're going to start with an icebreaker question. Cliff, go ahead and share a fun or interesting fact about yourself.
Fun or interesting fact about myself? Well, I guess that's hard to come up with, I guess, something fun or interesting.
I can let Danny go first.
You did put me on the spot there, Layla. So let Danny go first while I think of something.
So I can go first, or Danny can go first.
Fun or interesting fact? I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Okay, well, I'm gonna actually answer for you, Danny.
Okay.
So you drink nothing but water.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
Yes, and
all the time. I know that about you, and I don't know if you want to go into why, but it's overall health reasons. I do know that.
Yeah. Yes, I did have a heart attack back in 2019. Why? I was at work.
While you were at work?
Yes, I was at work.
Oh, I had no idea.
I've always came in early. I was sitting on the truck dock about 7:30 and realized I just didn't feel normal. It was hard to explain. And as soon as everybody got to work, fire chief at the time took my blood pressure and gave me two choices: to run out to the truck or an ambulance is coming. So,
wow.
And that kind of was a life changer for me.
Did you make any other changes in your diet?
Oh, yeah, diet. And I hate to say it, but I was a 32-year smoker. I quit cold turkey that day, just with no help other than the heart attack. You know, everybody's like, how'd you quit? Heart attack.
Yeah.
I used to be a real bad Mountain Dew drinker. I think you probably remember that.
Yeah.
I believe when I even got back from work from the heart attack, Layla had taken all the Mountain Dew out of the fridge and put Gatorade in there for me.
That's right. I did.
Yes, you did.
I did. But then I did not know at the time that you were going to switch strictly to water.
Yeah, that came over time. I was one of those persons that didn't really like to drink a lot of water. And now I have to have it. It's almost like my Mountain Dew was, or people's coffee, or...
Oh, good. So it gives you true energy, and you don't have to put the filler, that powder in it or anything, do you?
No, I started with that at first, and then we moved away from that. Now I just like straight up cold water. Yep.
Well, I think that's not only a fun fact about you, but it's a great, just a story about you, like a health tip for all of us to follow.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, great job, Danny.
Thanks.
Cliff, if you haven't thought of anything yet.
Yeah, I think I come up with something. So it kind of goes into my hobby, I guess, a little bit. So I was kind of saving it for as a hobby. But so on my spare time, I like to woodwork. I have a woodworking little shop in my building outside my house. And that's what I do in my spare time when I'm not working, is I like to go out there and do some woodworking.
I love that. So what kind of woodworking would you say? Is it like furniture, or is it little tiny figurines?
So it's a little bit of everything. I've got a CNC machine, so I do signs.
Oh, great.
I make signs. I've just made a couple here recently for some former coworkers. Where I came from before I came back to the city, Made a couple of signs for them, and then, but I've made furniture. I've made my wife some furniture, so some things for the garden. So just about anything that somebody might ask for. If I don't know how to do it, I'll look it up and figure it out. So yeah, that's what I like to do in my spare time.
Work with your hands too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So a little fun fact about me is that I'm a lefty, and there's not many. I don't know. You're a lefty, Danny. You're a lefty.
Yes, I am.
I guess I never noticed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a challenge sometimes, isn't it? But we get through it.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to start with Danny on your life growing up, where you were born and raised, and what basically molded you into who you are today with the City of Marion.
Born and raised here in Grant County. Grew up in Jonesboro. Went to the Miss Central Community Schools.
Okay.
Like that part, huh?
Indians, yeah.
And actually, growing up here, I first started working at Ball Foster Glass at a high school. I thought that was something I was going to do, and then they ended up kind of shutting their doors. So it gave me a good opportunity to look for another career, and that's when I started moving towards IT.
So you were first working with your hands.
Yes.
And
yes,
then you kind of
then,
shifted.
Yeah. Well, you got to think when I was growing up, I'm a little older. We didn't have so much technology in the schools like we do now. So it came later. I've been doing IT roughly 27, 28 years now.
Did you start doing IT for a different company before the city?
Yeah, I actually started working for a consulting group, Adaptive Design and Development. And we had done some work for Polaroid ID systems, Digimark ID systems, and that's when at that point, when I really started finding my way through IT and really enjoyed it. So I figured this is something I'm going to stick with. And
so I guess I have to ask, are you self-taught, or did you have any schooling to get you there?
Schooling, and then the rest, I tell everybody, you can't get enough of on-the-job experience in the real world to really teach you. Yeah.
Where did you go to school as far as for IT?
I started at Indiana Wesleyan, did some stuff there, and then I did some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Online?
Yeah, classes online and certifications through Microsoft and that kind of thing. And,
well, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
To do some online classes with IT.
Yeah.
Well,
and it makes it easier. You know, here I was a little older with a family, so it was harder just to just go full time at school. And
gotcha. So, okay. In what year did you start with the City of Marion?
2004.
2004.
I think I've been there roughly 21 years now, which at the time I thought...
That is crazy. And you've always just been... I mean, you work very odd hours. You work a lot of hours, and you even come in on Saturdays.
I used to be 7 days a week. As you get a little older, you know, you have to back off and enjoy life a little bit. But you used to be able to see my truck there 7 days a week. People would say, "Do you ever go home?" Rarely, you know.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing about yourself. Cliff, you and I go way back. And so I used to be a reporter, and I used to interview you, Cliff, as the Deputy Chief of the Marion Police Department. But I would love to just learn more about you, where you were actually born and raised and grew up, and basically all of that good stuff.
Sure. No, I was actually born in Virginia, a little town called Norton, Virginia.
Nice.
However, I've lived in Grant County for most of my life. I think we moved to Marion when I was about 3 years old.
Okay.
So I lived in Marion for a few years, went to school at Francis Slocum for, I think, kindergarten. Then my family, my dad was employed at the old Owens, Illinois in Gas City. So we ended up moving to Gas City, and that's where I grew up at.
Gotcha.
I went to Miss Central.
Oh,
That's where I went to school at. And, of course, after school, I worked at Sears for a while, downtown here in Marion.
Yeah.
I worked there for a few years. Then I went into the Marines.
Oh, wow.
So I went away obviously for my training for the Marines, went to San Diego. Spent a little time in San Diego for boot camp, and 29 Palms, California for my training there. Came back to Indiana, was in the reserves for a while. Then I came on the police department in 1986.
So were you overseas at all? Did you ever deploy?
No, nope. I'm strictly reserves. I was in the reserves, so I never went out of the country for the military. But
And when you, thank you for your service.
Yes.
When you started with the Marion Police Department, you became a police officer, or did you start in dispatch or in IT or anything?
yeah, so I started as a police officer, patrol officer. But back then, we didn't have civilian employees for dispatchers.
Okay.
So police officers had the dispatch for police department, and I think firefighters dispatch for the fire department.
They just kind of rotated.
So, well, my first year, I drew the short straw, and I was a dispatcher for my first year.
Oh, my.
I'm a police officer, but I'm working in dispatch for that first year on the job. And then, of course, from there, I worked in patrol for about 5 years. And from there, I went on to be a detective. So I was in detectives for a few years, and then a shift supervisor or lieutenant on first shift. And then, of course, I moved into the deputy chief position for uniform division in the mid-90s, probably around 96 or so. And then from there on, I worked for a while before Danny actually started, doing the IT stuff for the police department.
Wow, even before Danny.
Yeah, yeah, we never had, well, like Danny said, I mean, we didn't have a lot of computer-related things back then.
True.
So we're talking late 90s, early 2000. So we, myself along with Steve Scott, who's retired from the police department, and Sam Kincaid, we did the IT stuff for the police department, and actually for the city, to some degree, we put in the first server.
Really? That was back in the late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, it was around 2000 or so.
Cool.
So I did that for a few years, and then in 2004, I went back as the deputy chief.
But in between there, you were over at, you were doing similar work, but for a company?
No, I was doing, so I in 2004, I moved from doing the IT and technically a detective back into doing deputy chief under Chief Gilbert.
I see.
At that time. And then, of course, I worked under him as deputy chief until I retired in 2015.
Gotcha. Well, thank you and welcome back. And you've really gone full circle. I know I actually have in my life, so I know how that is. And I'm just so thankful that you both are here and are able to just share with the community what you do. You know, this is how Marion works, so it's really kind of just getting into the nitty-gritty of what all you do. And I would actually like to focus on how your jobs are different first. Like basically, Danny, what is your overall responsibility for the city?
To maintain our network and make sure it runs smoothly, and we everything's available for our employees. And
now you deal with phone systems.
Phone systems, PCs. I do a little. I always say I'm the it guy because I seem to get called for about everything.
Right.
From gas pumps to the gates to tornado sirens to, I mean, just a broad thing. I look at it as people trust. I'll help them fix something. So
you are the it man. That's for sure.
Yes.
So, and Cliff, what are your responsibilities under the Marion Police Department, and does it go beyond the police department?
So, yeah, I mean, my basic responsibility, obviously, anything doing with IT-related things with the police department. So that's body cameras, it's computers, ordering and putting in computers, in-car computers, the printers that we have in the cars. Anything, kind of like Danny said, if a problem comes up, it's IT-related or somebody thinks it's IT-related, then I'm going to get asked about doing it. And then I help Danny as needed as well with the other things like the phones and those type of things too.
Gotcha. So I know that even though your jobs kind of differ quite a bit, that you work together as well on certain things, or that you can help each other out.
Oh yeah, anything we do in the building affects us both. So and you can't just have one person with all this, I don't want to say knowledge, but knowledge, and then something happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And working together, sometimes it just helps having somebody there with you if you're stuck on something or just need the extra hand. Or so anything we do, I think I look at it as one big department for me and him, really. But
yeah, and you used to work for a very long time with Brian Davis, who recently retired.
yes,
And so you kind of had that cross training, if you will, and now you're starting that process and working with Cliff
yep.
on certain things.
Anything I do, I think Cliff should know, just for a number of reasons. So yeah, I'd say we work very closely.
That's good.
You can look at it as two different departments, but to me, we're IT.
And I think what makes it work well too is even prior to me coming back. Obviously, I worked with Danny before I left, so anything that had to do with the IT, with the police department, I took care of that along with Steve Scott to some degree as well. So we were already used to working together.
Mm-hmm.
True, and then you have really stayed in the workforce in this realm of work, but through a private company. So it's not like you just retired and did nothing for a while. So you've really stayed up on technology. So that's great that you can come back and use the knowledge that you previously had working for the city in not just IT, but all kinds of other things. I know you have security related responsibilities. So I'd like to get into that, but actually, before I take a break, is there any challenge that you want to mention that you deal with, that whether it's technology or what is it that's really challenging to you right now, and how do you get through it?
Well, as far as IT, it's cybersecurity. There's so much out there anymore to be cautious of, and keeping our employees trained, and so they know what to do and not to do, and we just don't want to walk in here that one day when we're locked down and nobody can get to anything.
Yeah.
So
Staying up on that.
Yes, and it's constantly evolving, and I think that's probably the most challenging thing right there.
What about you, Cliff?
Yeah, I agree. I think for lack of a better word, criminals, because that's what the people are that hack into computers and steal stuff. Those type of things, that's what they are. And obviously, they're always finding new ways of doing that. And so you got to try to stay ahead of the curve, so to speak. And I think for me personally, that's one of the areas where I want to improve even more, is in that area, because it is a constant learning world when it comes to those type of things, because they're good at what they do. They can make it seem so real that, hey, that link come from somebody that I think I know, and it really didn't, and you click on it, and now you're in trouble, and your organization's possibly in trouble. So yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the biggest challenge not only we face, but most people in IT face.
I have noticed that they have become so sophisticated. And even just the other day, my husband and I were fooled by a Facebook post that looked like someone was trying to sell their items, and it was like a really good price, and it was like this is too good to be true kind of a situation. Well, somebody had hacked her account and had posted something like that, to where you would get so far, and my husband was almost fooled, but he got so far, and he had private messaged this girl who he went to high school with, and then she wrote back saying that she needed a $1,500 deposit. And that was like
the red flag.
Hey, nice to talk to you again. From
was that a red flag?
It was a red flag, and he's like, "Hey, who was our art teacher?" And they immediately blocked him.
Yes. Yep.
So I was very surprised that it had gone that far. And even last year, I told you, Danny, my bank account was hacked because of the credit card situation, and so there's that security issue. And I can't thank you enough, or really just for everything that you're doing to protect us in so many different ways. And all of the new platforms and software that we use for the city, it feels like it keeps growing. We have so many more services that we use for different functions, which needs protection.
Yes, keeps growing.
So I'm going to just take a quick break, and you guys, you need to stay connected with us by following the City of Marion IN on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and TikTok, as well as our website, cityofmarion.in.gov, and through the My Marion app on your Android or your iPhone. Okay, we're going to get into our second icebreaker question, but I'm going to switch gears a little bit to kind of help you answer, Cliff. So what was your actual fun activity when you were in high school? Like whether it was sports or a fun hobby that you enjoyed when you were young?
Wow, you're really going way back, aren't you? You know how long it's been since I've been in high school?
Well, I didn't want you to give the same answer again.
Yeah.
But if you had a different hobby besides woodworking, you can also mention that. How Marion Works is sponsored by the City of Marion. This podcast covers the inner workings of city government to better serve you.
So I didn't really play sports much in high school. Actually, I didn't play at all for the school. So I think probably more back then, like Danny alluded to earlier, we didn't have technology.
Yeah.
So I played wiffle ball.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So in the summertime, there's a group of us that we played wiffle ball, and it was to the point where we kept our stats. We knew our batting averages. We knew how many home runs we hit.
Oh, cool.
All those type of things. So that was the big thing that I did that was fun, and especially obviously in the summertime, is we got outside and played. We didn't have phones back then. We didn't have any technology to speak of. So that was my fun back then, being outside. You would get up in the morning and you'd be outside until the sun went down. I knew what time I needed to be home. My parents were fairly strict on you need to be home at that time in Gas City at 9 o'clock. The whistle blew.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to be home at 9 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
If I wasn't home at 9 o'clock, I was in trouble. So yeah, we stayed out all day. We rode our bikes, and of course, the wiffle ball was the big thing back then.
That sounds so fun. And it sounds like you still enjoy the outdoors, and that's a great lesson for all of us to just get out and enjoy, working with your hands or enjoying nature, outdoor sports. And we're getting into some nice weather, which is going to be encouraging for us instead of staying in and watching Netflix.
Right.
What's up, Danny? What is your fun activity that or hobby?
In the summer, I like to ride my motorcycle, go boating. I love being outside, taking care of the yard, whatever. If it's sunny and warm, I just want to be outside. I like to hibernate in the winter, so that's how I put on 20 pounds this winter because I hibernate, and
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Like you don't see your neighbors for a few months, and then all of a sudden you start to see your neighbors again.
All right. So I like to in my spare time, I like to take a motorcycle ride, maybe go out on the boat or stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You like to drive a boat,
Yeah.
speedboat, or a fishing boat?
It's a speedboat.
Cool. And what kind of motorcycle do you have?
I have a Street Glide, 2012 Street Glide, Harley Davidson. Yeah.
And sometimes you'll even drive that thing into work, right?
Yes. Sometimes it's hard because I always have to bring stuff with me, but when I can, I like to ride it in. Yeah.
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 Well, that's cool, and you can feel the wind in your hair, and just kind of get away from that.
Stress reliever.
Yes, it is a stress reliever. I used to ride, but this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. So okay, we can talk about what the community can do to help not only, you guys, but maybe even overall make Marion a better place to live. And it is big picture thinking. You can start with how people should contact you to help things run smoother, to help the city function better. We could talk about that aspect of it, or we could get into a different aspect of how citizens can protect their security.
As far as city stuff, we rely on the departments, what the public's wanting from them. So we listen to what departments say they may need, and we'll go from there to try to find something to make everything run so smoothly. And as far as the public of staying safe out there, just be careful what you're surfing, what you're clicking. There's a lot of stuff out there trying to phishing. They're trying to get you. And you just got to be wise and realize, not everything is meant to be clicked and read,
So is it really don't even click on it, or go ahead and...
I'd say use common sense, and if it's something like they're fishing out there, maybe it could be some article, a 3-headed shark, and you just have to click it, and come on,
Right.
And it could be yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's common sense,
And kind of like in your sense with the Facebook ad. I mean, don't always take it for face value. Do a little digging. Ask a few questions like you guys did to find out that it wasn't legit, because spoofing someone happens all the time. Actually, I lost my Facebook account recently because somebody somehow got into mine and did some bad stuff, and Facebook actually deleted it. I didn't go to Facebook jail or nothing. Yeah,
deleted your account?
Yes. Yes. And somehow somebody had connected an Instagram account to my Facebook and was putting out bad stuff. Let's just call it bad stuff. And they did away with my account.
That's crazy, because you have a right to your account, and so you also should feel like the information should be protected. Did you do anything, or did you just leave it?
Well, I don't really get on Facebook too much. If anybody's my friend, they realize that I don't really post a lot or anything. Yeah. But I noticed one day when I went to hit it, check something about somebody I know, it wanted me to log in, and I thought, that's weird. So when I tried to log in, I said, we don't even recognize that email address. So then I started digging, and there was a way to get my account back if I could get to this Instagram account that caused all the problem, and you could justify what happened, but it wasn't even my Instagram account. So
really?
So after that, I thought, I don't get on there enough to worry about it. So.
Yeah, it was just a loss.
Yeah.
Counted as a loss.
I'm sure there's people out there who think, Danny, it's not my friend anymore. Well, no one's, because.
That's why, folks.
Yeah. That's why. They actually.
You just never know what's going to happen.
And it can happen to anybody. Here I am, IT, and I'm not sure how they got to it, but I have a few ideas. But here I am, IT, and they was able to get to my account.
Yeah. Cliff, did you have anything to share of how the community can help?
Yeah, before I do that, though, I want to go back to your comment about Danny's hair blowing in the wind on the motorcycle.
What hair? Is it what hair? No, he's got hair.
Now, when I was younger, I have long hair. I didn't want to look like I was fighting it, so now.
I like to paint the picture, Cliff.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I think just keep some things in mind. If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Like Danny said, do that extra work. If you see something that you like you mentioned earlier, your husband actually took the steps of reaching out to verify. Keep in mind that a lot of places, like if you get an email from the IRS or a phone call from the IRS, is probably not them, okay?
Yeah.
And take that second step of actually physically reaching out and calling them at a number is a good number to verify whatever they're trying to sell you or say that you're liable for, or you owe taxes, or whatever it may be. Make sure you reach back out to the organization itself, and don't just assume that you've got an email from them that it's legitimate, because chances are it's not. And
reach out in a different way, not necessarily taking that bait.
Yeah, don't click on the link, but actually find the number itself. Google the number, look it up, and get the right number, and reach out yourself. And most places like the IRS and those places like that, they're going to send you something in the mail.
Yes, that's my experience.
Not certified, but an actual letter in the mail saying that we have an issue, we need you to contact us, whatever it may be, and give you a way to contact them. They're not going to send you a link in an email message. And then also, obviously, passwords are big. I mean, we all live in a world now where passwords are like 20 characters long now, and you've got to have 3 special characters, and it can't make any sense. And so find a password manager, something that can help you with passwords.
A manager meaning a person or a program? No,
there's actually software programs out there that will help you manage your passwords, so you can store them in a safe place and have them in a safe place. And it will actually go out and check and find out if your password's been used somewhere.
Oh, nice.
And those type of things. So there's ways of securing, making it more secure. You're never going to make it perfect, I don't think, because you're doing all this stuff, and then the criminal or the person on the other end are doing things to try to defeat what you're doing. So they're trying to find other ways of getting around it. So keep up, things updated. like your phone, you get an update on your phone, do it. Make sure you do the
Good
updates.
advice.
And I think anytime you can, always use MFA, multi-form authentication, two-step verification. If it's an option, I recommend it. Most of the time, it may be a message to your cell phone. I actually did get a message one day where somebody was trying to hack one of my accounts, and it came up on my phone. So it's a nice tool to have and keep you protected. If you can use it, use it.
Yeah, chances are it's right at your fingertips anyway, because you'll have your phone with you or you'll have access to a different email address.
Yep. It's just another layer of protection.
Yeah, I think we've got to remember criminals are always trying to find a way. I mean, if you go back as far as when we used to write checks, physically write checks, what happened? You had people forging checks. You had people stealing your checkbook and writing checks, and then we went to debit cards, and then people started putting things on gas pumps where they can steal your information from your card, and so it's always evolving, and they're trying to find a way to steal your information if they if they worked as hard at getting a legitimate job and working instead of trying to steal stuff from other people, but you're always going to have that. So you got to find a way to keep yourself safe.
So as far as speaking of just the technology that is just enhancing, I mean, you guys have come a long way from when you started working for the city, and now you have all kinds of technology at your fingertips. Is there any specific technology that you're really appreciative of that you're able to utilize to help? And you don't have to get into specifics if you're not allowed to for security purposes, but you can even comment in general about that. And I can even throw you some softballs if you need me to.
I think the big thing for City Hall is our firewall. I mean, that helps a lot. We can do a lot of things with our firewall, so that's probably the big tool for us to try to keep us secure, and just training with our employees.
Training. Yeah, and I know that I appreciate when you remind us to change our passwords and things like that, and the two-factor stuff. And then when we get caught up, you're always there to help us.
Right, yep.
And I think that the app is technology, so I can attest to that. And Danny, you and I have worked together for 11 years, and this past year, you and I worked together more often than we ever have because of the introduction of the app. Yep. And you and I have monthly meetings with the company, the software company, and
keep trying to improve it.
We are always trying to improve it.
That's My Marion app.
Yes, that's My Marion app. You got it right, Danny. So that's something that is considered a new technology that we are able to use for communication purposes, to stay connected and inform the community and have the community inform us.
Yes, it's a good tool to report issues. So that My Marion app, you can download it on Google Play.
That's right, or your iOS store, your Apple store.
What's that? Apple?
I'm learning. I'm a Samsung person now. I'm trying to get used to it. But actually, Cliff, I was reminded when you were talking about criminals stealing, I remember you having a technology that was those little dots. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the micro dots. Yeah.
I don't know if it ever, if anything ever happened with that.
It never took off really well because there was a cost involved for the person buying the stuff to actually mark their equipment and stuff. So, yeah, it was a good idea, but I don't think it really took off much.
But it always takes that attempt. Technology is always changing. So, is there anything else you want to mention about technology and helping you in your job?
Yeah, I mean, remember when I came on the police department, we were still using pen and paper. Mm-hmm. So I just think computers in general have helped us. I mean, but I would say probably having computers in the cars for the officer, having everything at their fingertips. So if they need to run somebody's information, they can run that information on a traffic stop or what have you. So having that computer in the car, I think, is a big thing. And then probably the second one would be body cameras.
Yes.
I think that's been body cameras. We started looking at those prior to me retiring. And then at some point, the department actually got them. And I think it just goes to show the public what police officers go through and what they endure out there on the street when they have to interact with whomever they have to interact with. It helps tell the story, so to speak.
Absolutely. It's been a very good tool to have, I'm sure, for many years. And the community also needs to understand that it takes time to get that, out and involves investigation, but it's good to have that tool there. Another tool for security is right here in City Hall, where when guests come in, they have the digital sign-in system that I think Danny worked on.
The new kiosk system there at City Hall when you go through the guard check. And what that pretty much does is let the department know, whoever you may be there to see, it lets them know you're there and on your way up. Because the environment we're in anymore, we got to be careful. Well, I think the police department in general started the security guard. I think they tried to be proactive, then reactive. Let's don't wait till something happens because we see what's going on in the world. So
That's right.
I know it's an inconvenience for some because they got to go to the McClure side to enter now, but it's all for safety.
Great. So is there anything else you guys wanted to mention about that or that have led you to maybe achieve some really great things over the years? I think that we've actually covered a lot.
Yeah,
so I just want to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything about your successes or your efforts.
I think just in general, just bringing the building up to date, it's a revolving door. It's a constant thing. And as technologies just went crazy, it allowed us to play with some new stuff and new toys. And
yeah.
I call them toys, yeah.
Your office is definitely a big room full of, I guess, toys, but it just looks like
that's where PCs go to die. Yeah, PCs go to my office to die. So.
Well, I just want to thank you both for just everything you do to help the community to the best of your ability. And thank you for being on the podcast.
Well, thanks for having us.
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for tuning in to the How Marion Works podcast. Follow us on social media and listen to the podcast on platforms such as Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all other major platforms. Episodes release every other Monday at 5 a.m., so be on the lookout for future episodes. You can find them all at howmarionworks.com. So for Danny Robison and Cliff Sessoms, I'm Layla Price-Bodkin, and this is How Marion Works. Thank you for listening to the How Marion Works podcast. We hope you'll join us next time.